Good afternoon, coaches. This is Anthony Williams, founder and CEO of Connected Athletics, where we focus on connecting athletes with athletes, and more importantly, athletes with college coaches. Obviously, during this very interesting COVID-19 environment and not having camps and combines and 7-on-7 going on, we have created a platform for players in the class of 21 and 22 to tell their story until we get through this virus and then get back on campus talking with coaches. And today we've got a very special person that is close to me because he plays my favorite position that I played back in the day, linebacker. Welcome to Jake Chambers, a 22 linebacker out of Stony High School. Jake, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Coach. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on with us. So just talking about it, we're in a unprecedented time right now, and obviously you're not doing any off-season workouts. There's been no spring ball. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing to stay in shape and get ready for the upcoming season.
So luckily, we know some people that have a bench and a squat rack, and so we put that in our garage, and so I'm using that pretty much daily. And I also live right by the middle school that I went to that has a track and a football field, so I'm able to get some type of agility and running in and some drills in there.
Okay. What about endurance? Are you running to doing some endurance work, running some miles, or doing any workouts in your street, or what are you doing there?
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do one lap, so 400 meters every workout that I do out there. Just so, because mainly linebacker is a lot of short distance stuff, 20 yards a lot of times, but there, every now and then there's going to be a big run or something where you got to go huck it down or something. So I try to do 400 meters every time so that I can kind of build that endurance and a little more of long distance.
Okay. So Jake, I played inside and outside linebacker. Talk a little bit about, we've had so many quarterbacks and receivers and DBs in the show, but can you talk a little bit about, from your perspective, how the position of linebacker has changed with these spread offenses, and would you consider yourself an every down linebacker?
I consider myself an every down linebacker, but I think a lot of coaches are moving to more towards corners and safeties at linebacker, bigger ones that are a lot faster, where they can run sideline to sideline quicker than more of a run stop kind of guy. So I do think that the position itself is changing in that sense. But I think that I have enough ability to where I can do both. I can stop the run with no problem, but I also think I can get back into my zone or play man coverage as well.
Yeah, it's obvious a linebacker today really needs to be kind of a hybrid, kind of a box safety and somebody that can take care of the run. So obviously you're probably working on, your zone and man-to-man defense, I'd assume, as you're playing in a very pass-happy 13-6A district.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, tell us about your academics. Obviously, you got a nice looking GPA there, and I don't know if you've taken the SAT yet, but talk to us a little bit about how serious you are about your academics.
Well, the academics are very important to me because you'll hear a lot of people say that, who are you going to be when football is over? And so I want to make sure that I allow myself to have the opportunity to do something past football as far as an education. And I do like tests, and luckily for us, we can make up almost any test. So it's very hard to fail, but it's also very easy to get good grades and get a high GPA. So my academics is very important to me because without it, one, obviously you couldn't play football, but most importantly, it sets you up for a lot of opportunities and choices past football.
Well, Jake, you were very wise. I can tell you that, the academics will actually open up, your recruiting, because once coaches can check off that academics box, and obviously you have good size and good athletic ability, the better your GPA and the better your test score, the more opportunities for you. So you got that right. And then secondarily, for somebody who's been through that, has transitioned out of football and into a career, football needs to be an enabler for an education and for the career path that you want to get to. So definitely respect that a lot. Let's talk a little bit about you once again as a linebacker. Give me some strengths and weaknesses. What are things you're really good at, and what are some things you're going to work on as you get ready for your junior season?
So some stuff that I'm really good at, my instincts are, I feel like my instincts are very natural. I think I've always kind of had a knack for football, and getting to the football, whether it's a pass or a run. And I can kind of sense the down and distance in the scenario to where I have a feeling of what's going to happen. So my instincts and my physical strength are definitely my the top things that set me apart. Um, but my weakness is definitely my straight line speed. That is something that I need to work on and that I am working on.
Great. And then what about as far as playing out in space? Linebacker, sometimes you got to go out and step out and take care of number 3 or number 2 sometimes. What are you doing to get better in your man-to-man coverage, since that's a big part of the scheme at Stony Point?
So luckily, I'm surrounded by a lot of people that are involved in football. And so I have certain and specific drills that I like to do with them for man coverage. For zone, I get to work a lot of that on my own, knowing where my zone is, give myself a scenario of if it's hook to curl, if it's going to the flat, if it's the cover 3, whatever it is. I can give myself for zone. I can take care of that by myself, but I'm surrounded by enough people to where I can do specific drills for man coverage.
Great. So let's get into detail. So, obviously there's a lot of good linebackers in your class. Describe to us why coaches should be after you. What differentiates Jake Chambers from other linebackers in your class?
My effort, I feel is you're never going to find anyone that's going to work harder than me on the field and in the classroom, obviously. But for football itself, my effort and my accountability to the team. Every now and then you'll see everyone on the team that they might show up late or something like that. I try to be as accountable as possible. This year I played long snapper too, and that was something new for me. I've never done that, but we were needing someone to do that. And so I tried to work on it with my coaches as best as I can. It ended up that I got the spot. So accountability and my effort sets me apart from a lot of people, I believe.
Well, it's good to hear that you launched that, because as you know, in recruiting, I can tell you as somebody that talks with coaches and a former college coach myself, the more things you can do on the field, the more recruitable you'll be and the more you can contribute to a team. So it's great to hear that you also launched that. Obviously, specifically, I guess I would ask you, I know you're early in recruiting and I know we're in this very unprecedented time, but tell us, who are you hearing from? Who do you want to hear from? What are some of the schools that you're going to be looking at? And what is that decision factor that you're looking for at the next level?
So as far as people that I'm hearing from, there's a couple, like I'm getting some follows on social media by coaches, coaches at Tarleton and Angelo State, just some pretty local schools. And I think everybody wants to hear from a Power 5 school. And of course I do too, but I'd like to hear from, I'd like to make it more personal between Angelo State and Tarleton and places like that. I'd also like to hear from, I'm open to places like Montana and schools in Washington. I'm pretty much open to anything, just anyone that can give me an opportunity. But nothing, as far as recruiting goes, nothing personal has happened yet. And the deciding factor for me, that's probably going to be where I feel most comfortable with the coaches. I feel like I can play with the coach. Everyone can have a coach that they play for, but I want to play with him to where me and him can work together correctly and to where it benefits the both of us. And I want to feel comfortable on the campus as well. And I want to openly be able to be a Christ follower too.
Great. Well, the importance of your relationship with your position coach, training staff, your coordinator, and your head coach. Talk to us a little bit about your relationship with the Stony Point coaching staff and the training staff there.
So our training staff, we have a lot of fun with our trainers and the student trainers as well. But we also know that they're there to take care of us, and we're there to partially depend on them, but also, we're not trying to get hurt. So, but as far as the coaches, I have a very close relationship with all of my coaches, but at the same time, I know that they're always going to be the coach. I'm always going to be the athlete. So I feel like I can come to talk to them about anything that's football related. So it's a very personal relationship, but not too personal to where it's almost like a friend, but it's a coach and an athlete.
Great. Well, let's get down to it specifically. I mean, you're still going to your junior year here, but do you have an idea of your criteria for when you do select what school you're going to commit to?
I do have a little idea. I want to. I'd love to play in a 4-3 defense, but if we end up playing a 3-4 or even a 3-5, I'd be open to that too. I would just have to learn to adapt to it, just because it's something new for me. But that's a big part of it, and my relationship and how the coaches treat the athletes. That's important to me because I mean you don't want to have a coach that's super nice to you all the time because then whenever he does get on you, you can't tell if he's being serious or not. But you also don't want a coach that's on you 24/7 to where you just feel like you're just his dog and you're just there being for him.
Yeah. Well, who's going to be involved? I think we all have an idea, but just so these college coaches know, who's going to be involved in you helping make that final decision and commitment to what school you're going to attend in college?
My mom and dad are going to be a big part of that, but my coaches, my defensive coaches specifically, they're going to be a big part of that because I know that they know a lot of people and they know who's good and who's not, and they know where I need to fit in.
Okay. Let's talk about Jake Chambers off the field. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do when you're not working out and get ready for the season?
I'm a big fan of fishing. I like fishing and hunting, and I love music. I like going to concerts and just hanging out with my friends. I really like just if it's just around a fire or if it's just at someone's house playing games. I like that too.
Okay. So obviously we're all probably, with this COVID-19 environment, we're all on Netflix and stuff. What have you seen? Are you watching Netflix? Are you on doing apps? Are you video games? What are you doing? What video games are you playing? What apps are you using? Are you a TikTok guy? Give us a little bit more personally about Jake.
I just started a new Netflix series with my family that we're starting to watch, Ozark. We like that series. I'm not a big video game guy, but when I do, some baseball games like MLB games, I like those. But as far as apps, I am a TikTok guy. There's some funny stuff on there. But I like Instagram and YouTube.
Okay. I can tell you as somebody who went through all 3 seasons of Ozark, it's outstanding. And season 3 finale is going to blow you guys away. But I want to take away
Perfect.
the message for you.
All
Hey,
right.
what do you plan on majoring in when you get to college? And what do you want to do when football's over, whether it's after a 10-year career in the NFL or you just get done after college? What do you want to major in and what do you want to do when football's over?
So as far as my major, I've kind of slimmed it down to two things. I either want to do engineering or something business related. But other than that, I've also been interested in doing something where I'm the entrepreneur, starting my own business to where I can be in control of what and how things happen. But as far as a major, I do want to do something business related or even broadcasting, like sports broadcasting. I feel like I'd be pretty good in that.
Great. Let's say somebody's watching you play this coming season for the first time, and they're going to say, hey, boy, Jake Chambers reminds me of another linebacker, either at the college level or the pro level. Who do you pattern your game after?
Oh, Luke Kuechly for sure.
Yeah.
Just the way that you can watch him and you know that he studies film. That's kind of a given from him, and I do too. That's a big part of my game is you know what's going on before the play starts or before the game starts even, and then the physicality that comes with it. I'm a big component of just smash mouth football, like hit someone as hard as you can because you can't get in trouble for it. So that and my effort. If the ball is on the other sideline, 30 yards up the field, you got to go get it.
Yeah.
So that's a big part that people will see from me.
All right, a little bit more about you personally, whether it's personal or on the field. Tell us a time when you had to overcome some type of adversity.
This one's on the field. Last year, my freshman year, I didn't get as much playing time as I was used to. So I started 5 of the 10 games that I played on varsity. But there were a lot of times where if it was passing scenarios, like 4th and long scenarios, but they had to get it, he'd send me off the field, kind of put a faster guy in, or if it was just maybe not knowing the defense just yet, I'd come off the field for that too. And that was it was tough for me just because I wasn't used to it. So I had to learn how to be more of a teammate than before, to learn to be ready whenever I am put in the game. So whenever I am put in the game, I'm prepared and I know what I'm supposed to do, so that the team can win the game together. Um, that was something that was very difficult for me, and I had to get over it.
Well, it's a good lesson because, as you know, you're probably going to have that same lesson at the next level. You know, I talk to a lot of seniors who talk about playing as freshmen. I can tell you that, you know, your first 2 years, you're going to one, figure out what it's like to be a college student. You're going to figure
Mhm.
out your teammates in the locker room, and hopefully make your way on special teams. And then maybe that redshirt freshman or that sophomore year, maybe you get some spot playing time. But you're really kind of setting things up for that junior and senior year. So it's good. And I know a lot of freshmen that want to play and start as freshmen. But the bottom line is, you've got guys who have already been there much longer than you, ready to go. So it's good that you learned a lesson early about being a good teammate, because coaches want to see that. You know, because obviously everybody wants to play, but at the end of the day, it's all about the team. So you definitely get that. Simple question that most coaches are going to ask you, Jake, when things open back up and you get on campus: why do you love football?
I love football just because of the environment that comes with it, the team compatibility, like in the locker room, just having fun, hanging out with your friends, and playing football with your buddies. That's something that's hard to beat. But I also love the life lessons that come with it, because everything, I feel like everything in life, no matter what it is, has life lessons that are presented, but you can either take them or you can't. And I feel like football presents the most, just as far as sometimes you got to forget what happened the last play and just move on. And sometimes you got to remember it and build from that. So I just love that. You know, someone told me a long time ago, if you really love something, you can name specific things about it, but at the end of the day, you just love it.
Yeah.
There's no words for it. And that's definitely my relationship with football.
Hey, one of the things I heard from some of your teammates and obviously from some of the coaches over there, that you display great leadership. Tell us about how you act as a leader on your team.
So for me as a leader, what I've learned, I've always kind of been a leader of no matter what I'm doing, like in class, if we have group projects, I've always kind of taken control and given people certain positions on what to do. But also I'll take criticism, constructive criticism if I need it. And that's part of why I do want to be an entrepreneur, because I love to know exactly what's going on and be a part of that. And I'm very OCD in that sense. So I've learned to deal with people differently, because some people, they love to be like, oh, rah rah and everything right before a game, and some people don't. Some people are very quiet, very to themselves, and you got to treat those people very differently. Um, but as well as if everything's kind of in a panic, the game scenario, and everyone else is kind of like freaking out, sometimes you have to stay calm and just stay grounded. But there's other times where if everyone's down and out, you got to pick them up. And if you don't, then the whole team's going to fall. But if you're a good enough leader, no matter what you do, they're going to follow you. And accountability is a big part of that too.
Absolutely. Hey, another thing here. So you're getting ready for a big game against Vandergrift or Cedar Ridge or Round Rock next year for the championship. Pre-game, what do you listen to on your playlist? What do you listen to on your phone? What songs?
Oh, well, my pregame playlist, man, I have a lot of Metallica, like AC/DC, just a lot of like hard rock or some like Southern rock type of stuff.
Okay. Tell us who's been influential. I'm sure you had a lot of great people in your life. I talked to your mom earlier. She seems like a great lady. But tell us, who are the most influential people in your life right now?
The most influential people are probably my parents. They have a big influence on me, because I know that they'll always try to put me in the best situation to be successful and whatever is better for me. So I would definitely trust them with that. But my brother and my brother-in-law, they're a big part of that. So a lot of my immediate family, we're very supportive of each other. But also my defensive coaches, Patrick Hayes, Kevin Sabach, and John Leday, they're very influential to me because they're very honest with you. So that means a lot to me. Someone that can be very honest, and someone that's like that is one of my trainers, Tim Crowder. He's a very honest guy. Tells you what you need to hear and what you don't need to hear, because he's just very blunt and honest with you. But people like Kwame Thomas and Tiki Davis, they've played a big role on me.
Two of my favorite people, Tim Crowder and
Mhm.
I. Obviously, my son played at Texas. Tim's a good friend of his, and then Kwame's outstanding. He is. You got some really great people in your life. Um, Outside of football, have you played any other sports? Baseball, track. What else do you do when you're not playing football?
I throw shot put and discus and track.
Okay, good. Do you enjoy that?
I do, yes, sir.
Okay. Obviously, learning is a big part of being a successful football player. And if you've done any studying around learning, there's three different types of learners. There's visual, there's verbal, and there's physical. Those that need to be demonstrated. How would you describe how you best learn as a student and as an athlete?
I'm definitely a visual and a physical learner. If I like to learn a lot from my mistakes, just because you can have certain things done a lot of ways. And if you find a way that's specific to you to get the job done, that's the physical part of it that I think is good. But also the visual. I can be a verbal learner, but definitely not as well as a visual learner.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this. I mean, a lot of college coaches are going to ask you this. You know, there's a lot of things you mentioned earlier about how you're going to make your decision. But if you had to pin it down to the single most important criteria or thing that's going to help you make your college decision, whether it's distance from home or the major, what would you say is going to be probably the top prioritized reason for why you're going to commit to a school?
Probably comfortability of the campus.
Okay.
Just feeling comfortable in my own skin. I I think friends are going to come whenever you join the campus. After a while, no matter where you're at, you're going to find people that you can hang out with. But comfortability is a big part for me.
Gotcha. Hey, so this last question is one that, once again, a lot of coaches are going to ask you. So I'll ask you now so they can have it on record. Why do you think you can play at the college level, in your words?
My leadership is I feel everyone says that they're a leader, and there are a lot of people that are great leaders, but I feel like I'm very rare, a rare specific leader to specific people and to the team. And my effort and my ability, those are two big things that I feel like I can truly play at the next level.
Great. Well, hey, as we finish up this interview, and we thank you for your time. If you ever heard and studied business, there's a term called elevator pitch. You've got 30 seconds. It's going to be sending this out to a lot of coaches and watching it. Tell them why they should start recruiting or get all over Jake Chambers. What is it you want to tell coaches as you move forward in the recruiting process?
You're never gonna find anyone that'll ever work harder than me. Every day, no matter what it is, if it's sitting down, I'm trying to rest my muscles just to be fluid. Everything I do is meant with a purpose. I'm always gonna work hard, give the best effort that you'll ever see, and always be accountable for the team and for myself. And my grades will take care of itself.
Great. Well, Jake, I want to thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the field again this fall. I was impressed last year, and I know you're just going to become bigger and better. And good luck in your recruiting and to your family. And if you ever need anything, obviously reach out to us. Thank you from Connected Athletics.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.